Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make Nordic carrot cake. This was a suggestion from one of my YouTube viewers, and he sent me a link to a recipe, and basically I'm using that recipe. I'll put details of that link in my blog when I post the video and the recipe. And it's quite a simple recipe, and it's popular by all accounts in Denmark, and I'm guessing the other Nordic countries as well, maybe with slight variations. I have seen some that include some nuts, and although I don't have it listed in my ingredients here at the moment, I think when I actually serve the cake I will put half a walnut on the top of each one. So it's, as I said, very simple to make, and I've started off by preheating my oven to 185 Celsius, that's 165 Celsius with a fan, 365 Fahrenheit. And I'll go on to the ingredients. And for the cake, I have 375 grams, which is 1 3/4 cups of grated carrots. That's the carrots grated to weigh 375 grams, and then I've measured that out and it's 1 3/4 cups. I have 275 grams, which is 1 2/3 cups, plus 2 tablespoons of plain flour, based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup. I have 200 milliliters, which is half a cup plus 1/3 of a cup of vegetable oil, a flavourless oil basically. I have 4 medium eggs, that would be large in the USA. I have 6 grams, 1 teaspoon of salt, 10 grams, 2.5 teaspoons of baking powder, and 6 grams, 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. I also have 300 grams, which is 1.5 cups of soft light brown sugar, and that's 1.5 packed cups basically. And then for a cream cheese frosting to go on the top, I have 300 grams, which is 1 1/4 cups plus 1.5 tablespoons of cream cheese. I have 180 grams, which is 13 tablespoons of unsalted butter, which will be softened by the time I need it. I have 270 grams, 2 1/4 cups of icing sugar, and I have 2 teaspoons of 10 milliliters of vanilla extract. So the first thing we need to do is to make the cake batter and put it into our tin, and I have greased and lined a tin which is about 8 inches by 12 inches, maybe slightly larger, but 8 inches by 12 inches is a good size. I think if you have one which is 9 by 12, it will still work, but the cake will not be quite so deep basically. So the first thing I'm going to do is to whisk the wet ingredients together, starting off with the oil and the sugar, and I'm going to do this in a larger bowl with my hand mixer. So I've put the sugar and the oil in the bowl, and I'll just mix those together and get them well combined. So I've mixed that together, and the eagle-eyed amongst you, or even the not so eagle-eyed, will notice that I've changed bowls because I decided I had too much ingredients for that smaller bowl. So then I'm going to add the eggs in one at a time, and I'm going to whisk those until they're fully combined. So that's mixed in, and I'm going to add my carrot, and I'm going to mix that in as well. And that's good like that. So then we just need to add the dry ingredients, but before I add them into the mixture, I'm going to just mix the cinnamon, the baking powder and the salt into the flour, just to get that distributed a little bit. And then I'm going to mix that using a spatula or a spoon into the wet ingredients until it's all fully combined. That looks fairly well combined. So then I'm going to pour that into my prepared pan. And that spreads out quite nicely without any help from me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that into the oven, and I'm going to bake it until a skewer test, poking a skewer into the cake, shows that it comes out clean without any crumbs on it. And at that stage I'll take it out and I'll allow it to cool down, and when it's cooled down I'll come back and we'll make the cream cheese frosting and we'll put it on the top. I baked the carrot cake for 40 minutes and I tested it with a skewer and it came out clean. So I took it out of the oven and allowed it to cool down, and I've actually taken mine out of the tin and placed it onto a wire rack, so I'll show it to you now. So this is what the cake looks like basically, but we now have to make the cream cheese frosting, and so I'll put the cake to one side for a moment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my butter and put it into a bowl, and I'm going to put the cream cheese in as well, and I'm going to cream them together. And as I do that, I will also add in the vanilla extract. So I'll add the vanilla extract as well. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sift my icing sugar in. You don't have to sift it, but because mine has some lumps in it, I think that's going to be the best thing to do. So that's good, that's got the icing sugar in. And then I'm simply going to mix that into the cream cheese and the butter, and I'm going to do it on a very low speed to start with, otherwise the icing sugar is likely to create clouds of dust everywhere. And that's good. So that's nicely mixed in, and then I'm simply going to spread that onto the top of my carrot cake. And so I'll put the frosting on. And then I'm going to spread that over the top of the cake and go right up to the edge. And with that cream cheese frosting on the top like that, you could run a fork over it to make a pattern if you wanted to, but because I'm going to put a few walnuts on some of my squares when I cut them out, I'm not going to make the pattern. So I'm actually going to leave that just to set the frosting a little bit firmer. I'll pop it in the fridge for 15 minutes or so, and then I'll come back and we'll cut it and I'll put the walnuts on the top. So I've let that chill in the fridge for about 15 minutes and the frosting is still soft, but what I've done is I've cut it into 24 pieces basically, and I simply sliced it and then I cleaned the knife between each slice that I made, and I've put walnut halves on the top of half of them just to show you what it looks like basically. So I'll just take this piece away so we can see inside the cake as well, and I'll have a taste of this piece. Lovely and soft, that cake, and it has a sweetness to it, and you actually get the flavour of carrot and cinnamon. It's very, very good, and then of course the sweetness of the cream cheese frosting as well. Excellent. So this is actually a very easy cake to make, and it's perfect for this time of year. I hadn't heard of Nordic carrot cake before, but I'm rather glad that I made it because I'm going to enjoy this. So that's going to be it for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye that you can click on, which will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.